Hello my friends, I'm Irina from Madrid Museum Tours, and today we are going to enjoy beautiful images created by two French artists of the 17th century, who made Rome their home and renewed the way to paint landscapes, each one in his own way, NICOLAS POUSSIN and CLAUDE LORRAIN. Let's get to it! Poussin was born in 1594 in Andely, next to the historical Gaillard Castle. Poussin's parents were peasants. The young Poussin had a privileged learning capacity. 1622, the great poet Giambattista Marina met Poussin in Paris and became his protector. The same year, Poussin cared for Marino after the poet got sick. During that time, Marino instructed Poussin in mythology and religious art. Poussin drew 7 illustrations of Ovid's Metamorphoses for Marino. In 1624, being 30 years old, Poussin hit the road to Rome, from where he won't move except between 1640 to 1642. In Rome, the Cardinal Barberini became the painter's patron for a short time, enough for Poussin to become familiar with Raphael, Titian, Dürer and Roman Vias landscapes. The sculptor François Duquesne taught Poussin the rules of architecture and linear perspective upon Brunelleschi. From the Commendatore Cassan del Pozo, Poussin acquired a vast classical culture. The Commendatore introduced Poussin to the exclusive circle of art collectors in Rome. The return from the flight into Egypt is a beautiful integration of the characters into an idealized landscape setting. In a dance of music and time, Poussin proved his solid knowledge in classical Greek theories. The different modes of music expressed the opposite human moods of poverty, labor, wealth, and luxury. This masterpiece, survivor of a large series with anchorites, anticipated a new understanding of painting from nature's, dramatizing light and shadow effects in a Roman countryside landscape. Poussin's talented composition and design skills will lead him to be considered unanimously as the greatest French painter. Claudio's date of birth in the village of Chaman is estimated to be between 1604 and 1605. He was orphaned at age 12. The young Claude moved to John, his older brother, who taught him the basics of drawings. Claude arrived in Rome at a very young age. He acquired painting experience in the workshop of the malefic Agostino Tassi and influenced northern artists settled in Rome, Paul Bril and Adam Elsheimer. Beginning 1636, Claude's landscapes, harbor views with morning and evening themes, began to draw attention to the most significant European art collectors. King Philip IV of Spain commissioned Claude 10 religious landscapes, which are displayed today in the Prado Museum. Also, in 1635, Claude recorded 195 compositions in drawings in the Book of Truth or Liber Veritatis to prevent pastiche as well to stock reasons. These drawings are copies of all Claude's paintings up to the date of his death. By 1640, Claude Lorrain was labeled the Raphael of landscape painting. Although Poussin and Claude were known to one another, and sometimes they sketched the Roman countryside together, they didn't have any mutual influence. Faithful to his classical Hellenistic learning, Poussin deified nature in his landscapes. Claude made of idealized landscapes in the Roman countryside the protagonist of his paintings, but adapting it to the story and main figures of each piece.
Poussin subordinated colors to design. Through gem-like colors, a golden light and loose paint brushstrokes, he transmitted a peaceful mood in his landscape with a calm, seasoned with beautiful cloud-scattered sky, the reflection of the building in the water, and grazing animals.
In landscape, with puppet shepherd from 1650, we appreciate Claude Lorrain's mastery in his unequal description of nature, conditioned by the position of the sun at dawn or dusk and the soft glow that spreads across the surroundings. The same is shown in the flight to Egypt.
Poussin was 64 years old when he painted one of his greatest landscapes with those meticulous, precise brushstrokes and concentrating on surface textures that marked Poussin's style in his mature period. The classical myth of blind giant Orion, directed by Cydalion to the healing rays of the sun, provided Poussin the chance to represent the earth's vapor rising towards Diana, who watches the scene standing above the fumes. In Aeneas and Delos, Claude Lorrain made a clear link to the theater. Distant places and epochs in the back, in the front, figures adopting theatrical poses. As you see in the Fighting of Moses, Poussin's figures resemble Roman sculptures, well fitted into an harmonious composition, who exude vitality. The clear figures of Lorrain are the essence of his landscapes and dictate the whole mood of the work. They show motion and rich gestural expressions. They are slim, tall, and erect. The great landscape painter John Constable argued that those who disdain the importance of Lorrain's figures are very much mistaken.
Claude Lorrain fused in his landscapes the antiquity with architectures and figures. His taste in the Roman countryside inspired his vision of the ancient world. He never created archaeological landscapes different from that of the Roman countryside.
The Four Seasons were stunning but strenuous works. These masterpieces were created by an elderly and trembling Poussin. Thus, these fascinating landscapes were described as the finest historical landscape in the world. The cycle of the Four Seasons was described by Poussin in the old symbolism of the number 4. 4 seasons, 4 elements, 4 hours of the day, the 4 squares. In the Four Seasons, Poussin included the two traditions on which his entire work revolved: classical antiquity and Christianity, the blooming trees of heaven on earth for spring. The years of wheat allude to the history of Ruth and harvest fields of Boaz that summer, the big cluster of black grapes from Canaan for autumn, and the apocalyptic storm for winter.
Dear friends, I hope you enjoyed this video about two French artists who succeed in Rome. Nicolas Poussin became the greatest French painter, and his idealization of nature, framed of classicism, influenced David, Ingres and Cézanne among others. Claude Lorrain was defined as the Raphael of landscape painting and will be Turner's favorite painter. See you soon. Bye bye.